Hello guys, and welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to be taking a look at not a playoff video. The next one will be looking at a team that actually just missed the playoffs, and that is the Vegas Golden Knights, because this year the Vegas Golden Knights disappointed, and I want to just look at what's next for them in the offseason. What should they do, what will they do, and what are the possibilities? But before I get into the video, I just want to let you guys know you might be noticing a new background if you have seen my channel before. And well, I'm glad the window's not showing, but this video, I'm not wearing a Vegas jersey because I don't have one, which means I can show just the jersey background, and I am one jersey away from being able to wear a jersey and have the jersey background. But for this video, don't have a Vegas jersey, so just talking like this. But now moving on to the actual video where I look at the Vegas Golden Knights. And let's start off with, well, how did the season go? Because this season, they put up a 43-31-8 record for 94 points, which isn't bad for a normal team. But they missed the playoffs by 3 points. And the problem with this isn't bad for a normal team is Vegas was not seen as a normal team. They were seen as a team that should be first in the Pacific no matter what. I've mentioned this many times in other videos, but they've disappointed so much, and it's crazy because, again, the favorites. Now, there are a lot of things playing into the fact that they didn't make the playoffs. You can look at it as injuries. You can look at it as looking at lack of players, you can look at it as players not playing up to what was expected. But what I want to start off looking at is kind of the analytical side of things and their stats. So we look at their goals for. Their goals for this season was a 3.2, which is tied 12th. That is pretty good. It did go down a little bit from last year, but honestly, with all the injuries and stuff, definitely probably affected that, as they probably did with all of these stats. Goals against, 2.98, which is 14th, so middle of the league in goals against. But this is a team that last year was very good goals against. It was 2.18. It went up quite a bit this season, and that could do with Robin Lehner not playing good, as well as that penalty kill being at 77.4. That is very low penalty kill. And their power play being at 25th in the league with 18.4. So really, every stat here, their special teams are not good, and their goals for and goals against are perimeter mediocre, just above mediocre. So a team that was a top tier in almost all these categories except for power play last year has completely just become mediocre, which kind of speaks to where they finish in the standings by just missing the playoffs. But key players that I think affected them just being a mediocre team and not a great team, I can look at people like Robin Lehner, who this season just didn't have a good season at all. His save percentage was a .907, and that is actually his lowest save percentage than 2014-15 with the Ottawa Senators. So he hasn't reached this low in a while, and it's not like .907 is bad, it's just not solid, because Robin Lehner is usually a very solid goalie, and this year he was slightly below the league average, I think, or maybe at league average, but he's supposed to be a solid starter for Vegas, and especially with that contract. And then I can look at William Karlsson. William Karlsson for years in Vegas has been great, and this year just a down year offensively, and also his lowest point totals since before he came to Vegas. Then we look at Eichel. Eichel was expected to do more than what he's done so far on the Vegas Golden Knights, and I kind of give him a bit of a break here because he just came back from not neck fusion, that's surgery he didn't want to get, I don't know, disc replacement surgery, I think is what it's called. But he came back from a huge surgery and sat out for a long time, and I think people were expecting too much of him after he's coming back from a huge surgery. A lot of players come back from a surgery and don't light the lamp up like they usually do. I'm sure next season he'll be completely fine, but yeah, this season just not quite what a lot of people hoped, and not enough to push Vegas to that playoff spot. And then we move on to the injury side of things, where injuries definitely affected Vegas' season this year. We have Riley Smith, who is a very solid forward for the Vegas Golden Knights, an impactful player. And yeah, he was injured for a good amount of games, only played 56 games this year, and I believe it was a knee injury that took him out. And then we go to Max Pacioretty, a major star player for Vegas, and yeah, he was out a ton, over half the season, as well as their other star player, Mark Stone, who was also out over half the season. And you want to know who else was for over half the season? A very good defenseman in Alec Martinez, who wasn't looking great as he came back. He's obviously getting older, but he didn't look bad, and he still adds a lot to that defense, and is pretty solid defensively. And then, of course, mentioning Eichel again, Eichel was injured for a lot of the season. Obviously, they traded away Alex Tuch and Peyton Krebs to get him, but that kind of takes away a couple players from Vegas who could have made a good impact this year, and Peyton Krebs, who could be a very good player in the future, but they get Jack Eichel, still the better player in the trade, and this year, again, didn't quite play well and didn't play a lot of the season. So injuries definitely affected Vegas' standings, as well as just players not playing well. And yeah, this season was kind of a train wreck for Vegas in this part and in this category of the year where they just have people not playing well and people getting injured. But what I'd also like to mention is every person that I've just mentioned, every single player is making over $5 million, which means in this list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different players, there's at least $35 million of the cap hit being spent on the injured reserve at one point, long-term injured reserve at one point. But yeah, and there's players making more than that. So we're probably looking at like 50 million, 45 million being on the injured reserve throughout the season with these big players. And there's more too. I just named the major injuries. But looking at the offseason now, starting off with, well, their cap hit and their cap space, as well as who's going to be a UFA and RFA. Who will they most likely be losing this season? And currently, this right now, their cap hit is 92.1 million, which is pretty much exactly 10 million, just over 10 million over the current cap hit. Now, the cap is going up 1 million next year, and with all of these UFA and RFAs coming off the books, they should have about 2.8 million in cap space. And I did that to my math, so this isn't off of Cap Friendly. Well, I used Cap Friendly to find this, but yeah, this is my calculations right here. I looked through it and projected 2.8 million in cap space. Now, that's not a lot to re-sign any of the guys who are leaving, because on the UFA side, you have Riley Smith leaving, a very solid forward who's making $5 million right now, a hefty contract. Now, would he continue making $5 million? Probably not, but he's going to make a good amount of money if they do re-sign him. Matthias Janmark, who signed, I believe, a one-year, $2 million deal. He is going to be off the books this year as well. And then we got some guys I've never heard of. Do I even bother listing them? Their names are really confusing. Anyway, those three, you see them, they're all making under $1 million. The reason I have them listed is because they still add to that list of that's why they're getting cap space, because they do still come off the books. So they are there. Obviously, probably not going to re-sign any of them. I'd have to guess, maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But now on to the RFAs. And their RFAs, they actually have some pretty good ones coming off of their contract list, and they could re-sign them, obviously restricted free agent negotiations and all that. And with their RFAs, we see Nicholas Hague, who did pretty solid this year, definitely a good bottom six forward and fit well with Vegas. And then we go to Brett Howden. Brett Howden had a great year this year. He put up 20 points in 47 games, and this is the best year he's ever put up. In New York, he played okay, he played solid, never really broke out to the player that they thought he'd be offensively, and really that hasn't happened in Vegas, but it still has been better. And then we got Keegan Kolesar, another good third, fourth line guy, and Nicholas Roy, probably the best of all their restricted free agents, who this year had 39 points in 79 games and just played really solid for them. And with these guys coming off, I'm not sure that they can re-sign all of them with that cap space, but here's the thing. What do I think they will do? Because obviously there's trades you can make. You can make trades, you can do other things, pretty much trades, to make cap space so that you can sign more guys. And with Vegas, I don't know if they want to do that with all the cap struggles they've had this season, if they want to go through that next season, because I think that that definitely played a role in why they missed the playoffs. But when we look at what I think they will do, first of all, I think what they should do, what they will do. But first, fire Peter DeBoer. A lot of people don't like Peter DeBoer from what I've heard, and I don't know why they ever got rid of Gerard Gallant necessarily. Like, everywhere he goes, he wins. Right now, he's in New York, and, well, they lost game one in triple overtime. We'll see how the game tonight goes. Is it tonight? I think it's tonight they play. We'll see how that game tonight goes, but Gerard Gallant is a very good coach, and they fired him and brought in Peter DeBoer, who has not really had success in many places, but maybe they'll fire him. And I know that they've gone through so many coaches, and I think that just speaks to some internal problems in the organization that Vegas is happening. But then second, I do think they will end up trading Evgeny Dadonov. And they obviously, it was a whole messy situation during the season. He did end up coming back. He ended up playing well, but at the end of the day, Vegas needs a sacrificial scapegoat. Vegas needs somebody who they can trade away in order to be able to have some cap space leniency, in order to be able to sign guys if they choose to do so. And I think Evgeny Dadonov's that guy, and I do think that they will trade him in order to free cap space. Number three, try to sign some of their RFAs, especially guys like Nicholas Roy and Brett Howden, who performed very well this season. If they can get Brett Howden at a solid $2 million maybe, and Nicholas Roy maybe 2.5 to 3, if they can get a good contract like that going, 2.5, 2.6, 2.7 for Nicholas Roy, I don't know, something like that, and maybe try to get Kolesar and Howden, or who knows, maybe they go for Riley Smith. Just get Riley Smith. I don't know, but I think they should do their best to sign some depth forwards, because losing all these guys would hurt a lot and definitely hurt their chances of making the playoffs next year, especially if they continue having the injury problems that they have this year. Or they could go and get some toughness if they want to do that. Maybe look at the free agent market, get some tough guys, because that's something that Vegas definitely lacked this year that they did not lack in the past, because, yeah, they did not look like a crazy tough team this year. Again, they've looked like that in the past. Just this year, they didn't look like they could have cared as much. And then number 4, Riley Smith. I wrote here, Riley Smith probably ends up being a free agent. Yes, and then roll into next season hoping for the best. So you sign these guys, you sign much, and because with Vegas, with their restriction of the cap, with all these crazy expensive contracts, Jack Eichel, Mark Strome, Max Pacioretty, I can keep going, but all these crazy contracts, there's so little wiggle room for Vegas. There's not much you can really do about it. And yeah, I think they're just going to have to roll into next season and hope for the best. So that's what I think they do in the offseason. But do I think they make the playoffs? I don't know is the thing. It's really tough to say. I want to say Vegas is going to have a bounce back season next year. And honestly, in all likelihood, I definitely can see it happening. The problem is really where it lies with Vegas is, are they going to be, like I said earlier, are they going to be that team that consistently gets injured every year? These guys aren't getting younger. They're only getting older, obviously, but Mark Strome, Max Pacioretty, both, well, I think they're both over their 30s now. And obviously, Eichel came off of a huge injury, huge surgery. And yeah, will all these guys be able to stay healthy, including Martinez and stuff? And I really think that's the deciding factor. If the answer is yes, then I think we're looking at a Vegas team that can make the playoffs this year. If the answer is no, then not as much. And honestly, that is my opinion. But yeah, Kelly McCrimmon, who I didn't know was their GM, but apparently is, got them in quite the hole this season with the salary cap. And really in the past, is that cup still in store for them? Will they have to go on a rebuild before the cup? Because obviously they said they wanted to win the cup, I believe, in their first 5 years. Well, this was that 5th year, and it didn't turn out well. But again, we'll see next season. And let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think Vegas can make the playoffs next year? And do you think Peter DeBoer should be fired? Because I'm just saying off of what I heard. I very well could have heard from limited fans, and there could be a large disagreement there. So if that's the case, I'm sorry. But yeah, just let me know in the comments. And thank you guys for watching if you are still here. I hope I can have the background like this in the future. I do really like having the jerseys and everything right here. I'll move to the middle. I really like having the jerseys and everything here because it's just, it looks nicer. Like it normally looks like this with the window, right? And I have the block there and I'm standing here. But I like it more, you know? I like it more with the jerseys. I just think it looks better. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Let me know in the comments again who you think will, if Vegas will make the playoffs. I will be doing more playoff content coming soon, including recapping the first round midway through the first round and previewing the second round when the time comes, as well as looking through the 2022 free agent class. So that's what I plan on doing. But yeah, again, thank you for watching, and I will see you hopefully in the next video. See ya. Hopefully I can wear a jersey in the next one.